Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com. Welcome back to our build series of our 2016 Yamaha YXZ1000R. Today, well, we need to go ahead and set the valve clearance on this particular engine. Now you'll notice that I still have in our automatic chain tensioner. Now when we're done setting the clearances, we're going to swap that out to a manual one because it'll make me feel better keeping a constant amount of tension on that chain as it's flying around. Listen, as far as the parts, you will need to get together a good shim kit, and as far as the tools go, the only specialty item is going to be a good set of feeler gauges. Speaking of that, let me go grab mine and we will dive into this project. We left this engine on the split overlap on cylinder 3. Now to do the first measurement, we need to bring that around 360 at the crank. That way it's going to be at the compression stroke. So we're going to be taking our cams, which are now pointed down like this. They're going to end up being here. At that point, we can make our measurements. So we're just going to bring that mark all the way back around to top dead center. But you can watch the cams up top and you'll know about when you're there. See, that drives me crazy right there. But this is normal, believe it or not. And when you're doing this, if you miss the mark, now granted it doesn't have to be exact because we're not setting timing, but resist the temptation to go backwards. Just don't do it because you could make it jump time. There's one mark, timing mark, and there's your top dead center. So now our cam lobes are pointing up. So now we can go into there and check clearance. This is set at piston number 3, top dead center on the compression. That's what you're after. Everything's just hand tight right now. Let's go ahead and go across the board, working from inside out, and get them torqued to 7.2 foot-pounds. Now when we measure this, we're going to be measuring from this angle right here is what you're after, and we're going to hit all 4. Let's see where we're starting off. Here's where you need to take your time and not get rushed and say, all right, this gauge fits and then this one doesn't. Take the time to get that one that just barely goes in there and has a little bit of stiction, if you will, when you're trying to remove it. If you're accurate here, when you do the equations to get whatever the shim difference is going to be, chances are you're going to be spot on. Now if you just do this haphazardly and don't really fine tune which feeler gauge is going to fit in there the right way, chances are you're going to be off. Okay, so on cylinder number 3 on the intake side on position number 6, there's actually no clearance. That's what we hate to have happen because I really don't have a point of reference to adjust it out. So I'm just going to put in a value of 0 for that and then adjust accordingly and see where we end up. Number 5 is very minimal. It has 0.0025 millimeters. Now on the exhaust side for 5 and 6, we have 0.279 and 0.229. Not a problem. And what we're going to do next is rotate the crank 240 degrees and then do cylinder number 1, do 240 more degrees, and then we'll do cylinder number 2. But what you'll want to do is just watch the cams because we basically want to get the lobes in the same position as we see number 3 in right now. There's 180. You can see the cam starting to come up into position. A little bit more. I think that'll do it. Let's take a look. That looks equal to me. So that's number 1 in position. Let's get those measured. So it's going to be intake 1 and 2 and exhaust 1 and 2. Now a little bit more rotating and then we'll do cylinder number 2. Let's see what we've got. Oh, please don't tell me this is going to be a 0. Another goose egg right there on number 4. It's kind of bizarre that the intake side is so tight and the exhaust is so loose. This makes me wonder if I reverse the buckets. I don't think I did. All right, out of all those measurements, the only two that I don't have to readjust are exhaust number 3 and exhaust number 6. Everybody else gets changed. Well, let's talk about that for a minute. In the Yamaha manual, they call for a clearance range for the intake side of 0.15 to 0.22 millimeters. And when they do the calculations in the manual, they use the 0.22 as the high side as far as the adjustment point. I don't necessarily agree with that, and I understand why they did it, because on just about every machine that you're going to put together that has OEM parts, the valves are going to start to wear, and that's going to close up the tolerance, and eventually it's not going to be very easy to start if it even runs at all. So they're running toward the high side of it. But because we're using kibble white valves in these, I don't think we need to make that drastic of adjustment. So what I've decided to do is, out of that range of 0.15 to 0.22, I'm aiming more in the middle. So for the intake side, I'm using 0.2 as my target, and on the exhaust side, it ranges from 0.21 to 0.27, so we're going to go right in the middle at 0.24. Now, the measurements on the intake side, they were all really small, if not zero in a couple of cases, and those we may have to readjust once we march closer to that 0.2 clearance. But at any rate, you take that initial measurement of 0.002, and then you subtract from that the 0.2 target. So that means I need to make a change of minus 0.198 millimeters. Now keep in mind, our initial thickness of that shim that we measured when we were putting it together was 190, in other words, 1.90 millimeters. So we need to take that 1.9 millimeters, subtract out the 0.198, and that gives you 1.701, which if you round up, you would take it to 171. But since I'm aiming for the middle, and it's 1.701, we're going to use a 170 shim. Now I've gone through and done that same mathematical gymnastics all the way down, and you can see on this chart where we're going to end up on the valve shim thickness. Now with all that being said, let's bring around number 3 to the split overlap. So that's top dead center on compression, but we want to bring it around 360 degrees more where we're at the split overlap. And that should be getting it. Yep, that's actually it right there. So we're lined up on those marks. Our cams are facing down, the lobes and our marks are where they're supposed to be, here and here. Now we'll put in zip ties to hold the chain in place. Get out our tensioner. Then we can remove our caps. See, if you didn't have your zip ties in place right now, it would have jumped time, because that lobe got pushed back on that tappet. As before, there's hardly any tension on the back caps because none of the cam lobes on 1 and 2 are pressing down just yet. Take off our caps, then pull each tappet one at a time, make the necessary adjustment for that particular tappet, then put it back and go to the next. You can take them all out if you want to, but I would rather do them one at a time so I don't shift anything one way or another. All right guys, the shims are in place. Now we just need to put the caps back on, get our tensioner reinstalled, then we can cut our zip ties loose, measure it one more time and see if there's any other adjustments that have to be made. So let's get all of these pulled down, just hand tight, snug down. You want to do it in a crisscross manner to try to bring the cams down evenly, although most of your tension is going to be on cylinder number 3, so that's the one you really need to focus on. Now once you've done that, go back and torque them to 7.2 foot-pounds, starting in the middle and working your way to the front and the back. Now let's bring it around to top dead center on our compression stroke and check number 3. So it's going to be 5 and 6. We were at 190, we went down to 170. It only measured a .0025. So let's see where we ended up. We're wanting a 0.2, somewhere around there. This is the one that we were completely having to guess on. We put in a 170, let's see where we ended up. 178 went in it. 0.2 will not, so I mean that's where it needs to be. Let's go over to the exhaust side. All right, number 6 we didn't mess with. We'll measure it again. Yeah. Number 5. Oh, it measured 0.279 before. Now it's at 0.229. It's there. All right, guys, went through and measured, and as you can see on this chart, we are within spec all the way down, and we got lucky on those 2 0 values. Hey, sometimes lightning strikes. Next up, let's remove the OEM tensioner and put in that aftermarket manually adjustable one. Now granted, I'll be following the instructions for this particular manufacturer. There's several different manufacturers out there. If you decide to go this route, I'm going to leave it up to you to follow that manufacturer's recommended installation procedure. You will want to make sure that whatever chain tensioner you do install, that you put in a new gasket. Not collecting zip ties in our crankcase. Okay guys, we're down to the really simple stuff now. All we need to do is install the valve cover and then go ahead and pop in the spark plugs. And then we're going to call this part of the project done. Now the real trick is with this particular valve cover, they want you to Yamaha bond all of these channels as well as this section around the spark plug before you put the sealing gasket on. So we're just going to lay a thin bead of either Yamaha bond or 3 bond gray right inside these little troughs. And it doesn't take much. Everything stays in place on the webbing except this one. Now let's get her closed back up. These washers actually have seals built into them, and we're going to tighten them down to 7.2, but actually they bottom out on that edge right there, and that puts the appropriate amount of pressure onto all of our gaskets. It looks like we did okay on our bead. I put just enough and not too much. It just oozed out a little bit, and I'm good with that. Now for our plugs. Keep in mind these plugs, the threads are only, I think, 10 millimeters. So not a lot of torque here, guys. 9.4. I don't know about you, but I don't want to guess at that because they're easy to break. It'd be a shame to have to pull that head back off, wouldn't it? Well, all right, guys, this is going to wrap up this video, but as you can see, I still have a lot of work to do, along with installing that turbo when the time comes. Really looking forward to this project. Well, listen, if you have any questions about this video, why don't you leave them in the section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And hey, if you like what you see, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. That way you can keep up with whatever I'm working on next. We just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great day.